This is the cheapest new iPhone you can buy with Apple Intelligence, but is it worth it? It's the iPhone 16e, and let's find out. Now, the unboxing experience is super straightforward. We've got the device. There is a SIM card tool if you are outside the US. If you're in the US, you'll have eSIM only. Then we have a braided USB Type-C cable. Now, if you're on an older iPhone, then you'll be used to Lightning and you will have to get new accessories for your iPhone 16e. And finally, we have some paperwork. And here it is. We've got it in the black, but it's also available in the white. We've got a matte finish and the design is very familiar. The dimensions are almost exactly the same as the iPhone 14, with the only design difference being the camera. We've got a single camera on here, whereas you've got two cameras on the iPhone 14. Now, a question a lot of you guys will have is, will an iPhone 14 case fit the iPhone 16e? Well, let's find out. I've got one here. Now, of course, we have the larger camera module, but the buttons seem to be in the same place, apart from the action button, which just about fits in, but everything else seems to be pretty much where it is. We've got an aluminium frame, which has around 85% recycled aluminium. There's a ceramic shield front, and we have what Apple call the toughest glass on any smartphone. I'm personally not going to be testing that out. As we have with the other iPhones, the iPhone 16e is rated IP68, so you will be able to submerge this into water around 6 meters for 30 minutes. Now let's take a look at the display. This display is pretty much identical to what we had on the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14. So it's 6.1 inches, it's an OLED display, we've got a 460 ppi pixel density, peak brightness of around 800 nits, and an HDR peak brightness of around 1200 nits. And it has a 60 Hz refresh rate. We weren't expecting anything higher because the iPhone 16 also has a 60 Hz refresh rate. Android fanboys, you can go ahead and complain in the comments. And this also means that we have a notch instead of the new dynamic island that we've got on the iPhone 16. Now, I'm not sure how much that's gonna impact you. The dynamic island does look more modern. We've had the notch for quite a while on iPhones, but this notch does contain Face ID. Face ID works great without any issues. Now, within this notch as well, we have the 12 megapixel selfie camera. This has an f1.9 aperture. Takes great selfies, but the hardware I don't believe is the same as the iPhone 16. I would assume it's going to be more similar to the iPhone 14 series. And that brings us on to the rear-facing cameras.
There's only one.
And that... Good point. And that brings us on to the single rear-facing camera. So unlike the iPhone 16, we don't have two cameras. There is no ultra-wide, there is just a single primary camera. It's 48 megapixels and it's a fusion camera. Apple say that it's got 2x optical quality zoom. I mean, it's lossless zoom because it is cropping into the middle part of the sensor and you can get really good shots at 2x, but it's not technically optical zoom. Now, I've gone out and tested the iPhone 16e cameras and they're very good as expected. We've got great colors, excellent dynamic range, really good detail, and it also takes good pictures and videos in low light. Now, I guess the real question is going to be, how does it compare to the iPhone 16? Well, you're in luck because I have been working on a SuperSaf style comparison of the iPhone 16e versus the iPhone 16 with lots of camera samples, and that video is going to be coming very soon, so do consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon if you haven't already. Now, performance. I think one of the key selling points of the iPhone 16e is the fact that it does have the A18 chip, which enables Apple Intelligence. And that brings the performance almost in line with the iPhone 16, as you can see from the benchmarks here. The only difference is that we've got a 4-core GPU on the iPhone 16e versus the 5-core GPU on the iPhone 16. Now, that still means that the iPhone 16e is going to be super smooth and you're going to be able to play all your games, but the iPhone 16 is just going to get a bit of an edge. And as mentioned at the start of this video, the iPhone 16e is the cheapest new iPhone you can buy that comes with Apple Intelligence. So you've got Apple Intelligence out of the box. We're still going to get a few more updates, but at this point in time, you've got features like the writing tools, so you can proofread, summarize, and rewrite text. There's the cleanup tool, which will let you remove distractions from your images. Now, I know we've seen lots of examples of how much better some competitors are when it comes to things like cleanup compared to the iPhone. But if you've just got some small distractions on your images, the iPhone 16e is going to remove those absolutely fine. There's Genmoji, so you'll be able to create custom emojis for your conversations. And you've also got visual intelligence, where you'll be able to point your camera and learn more about what you have in frame. So for instance, if it's a restaurant, you'll be able to get the opening times and details from Google. And that can also be launched via the new action button. So the iPhone 16e does have an action button. Now, the action button can be assigned to a bunch of different things. You can have it launch your camera, maybe the selfie camera if you're taking your selfies. You can also assign it to pretty much any shortcut on the smartphone, but the first on the iPhone 16e is the ability to launch visual intelligence. This is something that will come with a software update to other iPhones. Currently, you can use the camera control button for this on the newer iPhones. Now let's take a quick look around the device. So there's nothing at the top. On the right-hand side, we have the power button. On the left-hand side, we have the volume buttons as well as the action button. Now, my version here has a SIM card tray because I am outside of the US. Remember, if you're in the US, it's going to be eSIM only. So you can have two SIMs active at the same time, physical as well as an eSIM or two eSIMs. And finally, there is the USB Type-C port. Now, this supports USB 2, so it's going to give you speeds of up to 480 megabits a second. As I mentioned at the start of this video, if you have an older iPhone, you may not be used to USB-C. This is something that was introduced a couple of years ago on iPhones. So if you have lots of lightning cables lying about, you won't be able to use them on the iPhone 16e. But the good news is you can use way more accessories thanks to the universal USB Type-C port. Now, one of the key new things about the iPhone 16e is that it's the first iPhone that has the Apple C1 modem. This is something that's been built from the ground up by Apple, and one of the key things that it gives you is efficiency. So it's around 25% more efficient, and that means that the iPhone 16e has better battery life compared to the iPhone 16. Apple say that you'll get around 26 hours of video playback on the iPhone 16e versus around 22 hours on the iPhone 16. So that's around a 10 to 15% improvement. The 16e is also fast charge compatible. So if you have a 20-watt adapter, you will be able to get a 50% charge in around 30 minutes. And it supports cheap wireless charging up to 7.5 watts. However, it does not have MagSafe. Now, I'll be honest, this was something that I was a little bit surprised by because iPhones have had MagSafe for many years now, including the tiny iPhone mini, RIP. But if you have a MagSafe case that has magnets within it, it does seem to work. I actually tried this by putting the iPhone 14 case on the iPhone 16e and then using my MagSafe charger, and it was actually charging the iPhone 16e. Now, I'm really not sure exactly how much that's going to impact speeds and things, but as we have with some Android devices, if you have a case that has magnets and MagSafe, then you will be able to use MagSafe accessories and use MagSafe charging. Now, the price, this is coming in higher compared to what the rumored price was at £600 or $600, and that is for the base 128GB model. And to answer the question at the start of this video, is it worth it? Well, I think for a lot of people, this will be worth it, and I think it's going to be very popular. Yes, it is priced quite a bit higher compared to the iPhone SE. You're not getting the display that you have on the iPhone 16 with the dynamic island. You're not getting the ultra-wide camera, and you're not getting MagSafe. But this is priced £200 less compared to the iPhone 16. It still has the A18 Bionic with Apple Intelligence, and it's got that new C1 modem, which makes it more efficient and gives you better battery life. Now remember, if you want to see exactly how this compares to the iPhone 16, then I'm working on a detailed comparison side by side, and that video will be live very soon. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. What do you guys think of the iPhone 16e? Will you be picking it up? Drop me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV. I'll see you next time.